this program, we are going to talk about the fourth aspect of the diversity of the microbial world, and that is genetic diversity. The diversity which is based on the genetic makeup, or what we say the genetic heritage of the microorganism. Now, genetic diversity is a level of biodiversity which refers to the total number of genetic characters a microbe possesses. Now, when we talk about genetic character, the most important keyword that comes into our mind is gene. Now, the number of the genes which is present inside the microorganisms vary. If we take a bacteriophage R17 and QB, we find this presence of only 3 genes. However, in SV40, we find there are 5 to 10 genes. And if we take a E. coli cell, we say that there are 4,000 genes which is present in 1 millimeter long chromosome. So, here we see that number of genes vary in different type of microorganisms. Not only the number, we find that size of the gene may also vary. One gene may be 100 nucleotide long, another may be 500, or say another will be 1000 nucleotide long. So, this is how there is a variation of gene inside the microorganisms. What is the importance of this genetic variation? That should be known to us first. Genetic variation is a way to which a microorganism adapts to the environment. We all know since the evolution of the earth, the environment is constantly changing. And with this constant change of the environment, we have diverse form of microbes coming into existence because they show a diverse pattern of genetic makeup. And therefore, we say that change in diversity may take place and it may happen that there is a loss of a diverse form. In that case, we call that as a loss of biological diversity. Another important thing for genetic variation is it is a means for the genetic improvement of the microorganism. We want the microorganisms to be genetically improved because these set of genetic characters which are possessed by the microbes will be utilized in the biotechnological industry for the production of enzymes, vaccines, antibiotic, organic acid and many other things. And therefore, genetic improvement of the microorganisms also holds a very key position in human race. Now, why this diversification takes place? Or in other terms, what are the sources of diversification that takes place inside the microbial cell? Let us see. The foremost important source of diversification is mutation. If there is any change in the genetic makeup of a microorganism, we call it mutation. That may happen due to error in the replication of the DNA, or that may happen due to some external factors such as UV radiation, which is constantly coming up from the sun. Now, what happens in this mutation? How does this mutation affects the genetic makeup of the cell? Let us see. Now, here you can see I am giving different types of mutation that may result inside a microbial cell. Say for example, a normal gene is like this. I have written a sentence which says, as the man saw the dog hit the can and it is. Now, these 3 letters or these 3 alphabets that is given for a word specify the codons which will ultimately describe a protein, because we say that 3 bases are needed in order to express an amino acid. This amino acid join together and form a protein or a polypeptide. Now, if the normal gene is like this, we see that when we have a point mutation, that means a single point in this sequence will be changed. The G of the dog is replaced by T, and now we see the sentence changes. It becomes as the man saw the dot, not the dog. This is called a point mutation occurred at a specific point. There may be deletion of a particular gene also. In that case, we see the DOG has completely been released or completely been deleted, eliminated, and therefore now we have the sentence as the man saw the hit, the can end it is. There may be mutation which is called insertion mutation, where we have insertion of the 3 codons together. The word fat has been used over here, so it becomes saw the fat dog. This is the change in the gene sequence of a microbial cell. It can be a frame shift mutation where we see that the frame of codon has been shifted. The 3 codons which were present, they were expressing a certain amino acid. Now out of these 3, suddenly one is being removed. It will try to capture the 3rd codon from the adjacent codons that is present, and therefore we have the shifting of the frame. That is what takes place over here. We have the elimination of D, and therefore this becomes OGH. Now when it becomes OGH, that means IT becomes a 2 letter, and now it becomes ITT. Here we see ITT. Then it becomes HEC, HEC, ANE, then ND, because it has or it cannot be removed. It is already a 3 codon, ITS, and S is removed. So in this way, the frame of the whole sequence of the gene has been shifted, and therefore we call this as frame shift mutation, and therefore the genetic makeup of an organism has changed. Now, mutation may also take place not only in the gene, it may also take place inside the chromosome, or we call it mutation in chromosome. How does it take place? Let us see. You have a chromosome, suddenly what happens, you have a deletion of this part of the chromosome which is labeled as D over here. So what we get in the next generation, another form or a diverse form, a genetically diverse form of microbe, where we have elimination of D and we have A, B, C, E, and then rest of the things remains as it is. Or it may be duplication, where this B and C duplicates and you have formation of A, B, C, B, C. Here we see A, B, C, B, C, and rest of the things remains as it is. This is called duplication. It may happen that a part of the chromosome gets inverted, which is called the inversion. So BCD becomes DCB. So here you see A, D, C, B, E, and then it remains as it is. This is called inversion. Another may be reciprocal translocation. That means one part of the chromosome is being exchanged with another part of the chromosome, which is some other set of chromosome. So here we see that AB is being replaced with PQR and MNO is replaced with CDE, MNO, CDE, and the rest of the thing remains as it is. So this is called the mutation in the chromosome. Now, the mutation has taken place inside the bacterial cell. What will happen? Or what are the effect of this mutation? Why are they giving out the diverse form? Suppose if I take this sequence TAC and against T we always know T is the thymine, and against thymine we will have adenine, and against cytosine we will have guanine. Now if we take specifically this sequence, if it goes the normal replication process, what will happen? We have synthesis of TAC and ATG. After transcription, it forms a codon which is UAC, and this codon codes for an amino acid which is tyrosine. Now after translation, that means we have a normal protein, no mutation. So a normal protein is being synthesized inside the cell, which is called a wild type. That means no mutation, a normal protein has been synthesized. However, let us take 3 examples of the mutation in the same very set of codons. The C which is present over here is being replaced by T. So now it becomes TAT, and obviously instead of G which was present here, we have presence of A and becomes ATA. Now after transcription, it codes UAU. UAU is again another codon which gives out or which is specific for tyrosine residue. So what we say is, though the mutation has taken place in this genetic makeup of an organism, but still the tyrosine is being synthesized. So we get a normal protein, no change in the expression of the protein. This type of mutation is called a silent mutation, though the mutation has taken place inside the genetic makeup of an organism, but it is not expressed outside. Let us see to the other type, another type of the mutation. Here we see the C which was there is replaced by G. So it becomes TAG and ATC. After transcription, we have formation of a codon which says UAG. Now UAG is a stop codon. That means wherever in the gene we find a codon of UAG, the synthesis of the protein stops. So when this codon appears here, this protein which should be synthesized stops synthesizing, and therefore we have an incomplete protein. The mutation so taken place here is known as nonsense mutation, because it is not carrying out any sense. No protein has been synthesized and suddenly it stops the synthesis of protein, and therefore this is called nonsense mutation. Another mutation that may take place in this is the T over here is replaced by A, becomes AAC and TTG. After transcription, we have formation of AAC. The codon AAC codes for asparagine. So it is not tyrosine, it is not a stop codon, but it is coding some other amino acid which should not be there. And therefore, we have a protein which is called a faulty protein, which should not be there. The normal protein is being replaced by a faulty protein. And this type of mutation is called missense mutation. So you see that the effect in a single codon, the effect in the genetic makeup of an organism can bring about synthesis of abnormal proteins or the faulty proteins, and therefore the genetic heritage of an organism changes. Now going on to the second source of diversification, which we call as recombination, crossover or sexual reproduction. Now in this we say that transmission of the genes takes place inside the microbial cells by means of three different processes. One is transduction, transformation and conjugation. Now let us see what these processes are, or how does the transfer of the genes takes place. If I take the process of transduction, it means a process where we have the attack of a virus particle onto the bacterial cell. Such viruses which attack the bacterial cell are called bacteriophage. Now these virus particles, when they attack, they release their DNA inside the host, that is the bacterial cell, and the protein coat remains outside. So you see the red colored DNA is the DNA of the virus which is inside the bacterial genome. This bacteria now starts growing, and what happens after some time, the host DNA or the bacterial DNA is split off and the viral DNA is synthesized in large amount. Because the basic purpose of this attack of the bacteriophage onto the bacteria is it wants to synthesize its own DNA so that it perpetuates. Virus does not have the machinery for the replication, and therefore it attacks the bacteria for the replication machinery, and therefore it can replicate. Now after this we see the different particles of the, we call them the head and the tail particles of the virus have been synthesized inside the bacterial cell along with the DNA of the virus, and now the packaging of the DNA of the virus takes place, which takes along with it the bacterial genome or the bacterial genes or the bacterial DNA fragments. So now the virus particles so formed will be a defective phage or a defective bacteriophage which has got the DNA of the bacteria. When such a defective phage again attacks a bacterial cell, what happens? The DNA of this phage gets inserted. it is having the DNA of its own. It is having the DNA of the earlier host, and now it gets inserted into another bacteria, and therefore now second bacteria has got the DNA which is coming off from the first bacterial host, and the viral DNA does not combine with it. Therefore, this is a genetically modified form of the bacteria where we have the DNA of the first bacteria along with the normal genome of the second bacteria. This process is known as transduction. Coming on to the second process, which we call transformation. In transformation, we see that the DNA particles are taken inside the bacterial cells. Now, these DNA can be a naked DNA, or this DNA can be in the form of circularized form, that is plasmid. The DNA which is coming from the outside environment gets inserted into the bacterial genome, and therefore this is called the stable transformation. However, in the case, it may happen that the DNA which is taken up by the bacterial cell is degraded into pieces and it does not incorporate. This is called an unsuccessful transformation. Therefore, a diverse form evolves over here, whereas you do not have the evolution of the diverse form of the bacteria in unsuccessful transformation. Now, if the DNA which is being taken inside is a plasmid or a circular DNA, when it is taken inside, what happens is we are getting a bacteria which, in addition to its own genome, is having a plasmid, and this plasmid may carry many genes which were not normally found in the normal bacterial cell. So, a genetically diverse form has evolved from this transformation method. Another process we go into by which we see the transfer of the genes is conjugation. In conjugation, we have two different bacteria. One bacteria is called donor and the second bacteria is called the recipient. Now, why the term? The donor is the one which is going to donate some genetic material to another bacterial cell, which is the recipient. Here we see electron micrograph, the two bacterial cell, and there is a very fine tube between them. This is called the conjugation tube. Now, this conjugation tube is formed due to presence of pili in the bacteria. Now, suppose I take two bacterial cell. In one bacterial cell, we find the presence of pili, and in the other bacterial cell, we do not find the presence of pili. Now, this formation of pili is encoded by a gene which is present on to the plasmid. Now, this plasmid is absent in the recipient. Conjugation takes place with the help of this conjugation tube formed by this pili, and by this conjugation tube, what happens is, with the help of DNA polymerase, the plasmid replicates. After replication of the plasmid, the one copy of this plasmid is being transferred to the recipient cell, and the one copy remains with the donor. I told you the gene for the pili formation is present inside the plasmid. When the recipient gets this plasmid, now what happens? It starts forming pili. So, we see a diverse form which was not forming any pili over here, now forms the pili. So, again, a diverse form of the bacteria with the help of the process of conjugation. Now, coming on to the different techniques by which we could study the genetic diversity. Out of these techniques, I am not telling you all the techniques because there are numerous techniques, but I am focusing on the basic and the important techniques of this diversification procedure, or in order to diagnose the diversification procedure. The first one is the molecular chronometer. Molecular chronometer is nothing but the 16S rRNA of a microorganism. 16S rRNA of a microorganism is very much conserved, and therefore it varies from one genus to other, from one species to other. These two persons, Zuckerkand and Pauling, in 1965, they termed or they said that the 16S rRNA should be known as the molecular chronometer because they have got oligonucleotide signature sequences. That means those specific conserved sequences which are only found in that particular species or in genus. Now let us see this rRNA structure of the three domains which we have already spoke in our earlier classes as bacteria, archaea and eukarya. I have taken three genus from these three domains. The first one is E. coli or Escherichia coli, which comes from the domain of bacteria. The second one is Methanococcus, which comes from the domain of archaea. And the last is Saccharomyces, which comes from the domain of eukarya. Now let us see the rRNA structure, how they basically differ. This rRNA structure, we can see the red marked portion, these are variable. That means these portions are very much conserved, which are not found in archaea nor in eukarya. Similarly, in the case of archaea, that is the Methanococcus is the example over here, we see these red marked portions in the rRNA, they are not found either in bacteria or either in eukarya. However, in the case of Saccharomyces, which belongs to eukarya, there is a presence of prominent 230 bases at this sequence, which is not found in either of these two domains. So this is the basic structure of the rRNA, which varies in the three domains of the living world. Now coming to the 16S rRNA of the bacterial cells, which distinguishes them into diverse forms. If we look onto the 16S rRNA of few of the bacteria, we see that at 47th position of that 16S rRNA sequence, there should be presence of cytosine. But the cytosine is being replaced with uracil in the case of spirochete. It is replaced with guanine in the case of Planktomycetes. However, those which are marked as plus sign show that they have the presence of cytosine. Similarly, if I take another example, at position number 570, there should be presence of guanine, which is not so in the case of bacteroids. We have presence of uracil. We have again presence of uracil in Planktomycetes. Now, there is a case where I have written capital A and small g. This shows that most of the bacteria show the presence of adenine instead of guanine. However, there are few species which may show presence of guanine, and therefore I have marked it capital A and small g. Like this, the 16S rRNA sequence, if we study the 16S rRNA sequence of the bacterial cells, we come to know the diverse form of the bacteria. Now going on to another aspect or another technique is GC ratio. GC ratio is the amount of guanine and cytosine that is present in the DNA. GC forms a triple bond and therefore it is very difficult to break the GC between the space between the G and C because they have got a triple bond, which is not so in the case of AT, which is double bond. This GC ratio is determined from the melting temperature of the DNA. The GC ratio, I have given few genus of the bacteria, we say that it differs. In Actomycetes, it is 59 to 73%. In the case of Escherichia coli, it is 48 to 52%. So, if the GC content comes out to be this, it has been allotted to this very genus. Another technique is DNA profiling method, where we have three different techniques as ribotyping. In ribotyping, we look at a particular gene only. While these two are much better considered to ribotyping because in repetitive extragenic palindromic PCR, we look at the palindromic sequences, the repetitive sequences on the DNA, and in the case of amplified fragment length polymorphism, we look at the total genome of the microorganism, we split it down with the help of the restriction enzymes, and then we go on for the DNA gel. If we look at the DNA gel of the AFLP method, we come across that lane number 1 and lane number 7, they are the marker lane or the lane having the marker. We can see that number 3 showing the fragments of the DNA which is completely different from 4, 5 and 6. So, it is a diverse form. However, if we go on for 4, 5 and 6, if I say this band or this protein which is being present over here, this is not here in the case of 6 lane. This is another a diverse form. Like this, if I consider the DNA gel of the REP-PCR, then we come to know that this set, lane number 2, 3, 4, 5 belong to one type of organism, while the set 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10, they belong to another set of genera. So, by this method, we come across different diverse form of the bacteria. Another technique we see is called the DNA-DNA hybridization, and here we wish to see whether the DNA of one microorganism hybridizes with the DNA of another microorganism. So, simply we take out the DNA from organism 1 and the DNA of organism 2 and let them hybridize. One of the DNA is radioactively labeled with phosphate and they are allowed to hybridize, and we see if the hybridization of the two DNA takes place, then they are related. If the hybridization of the DNA comes out to be 75 to 100%, then they belong to the same species. If this hybridization is from 25 to say 60 or 65%, then they belong to same genus but they have different species, and if it is less than 25%, that means the species or the two organisms are not at all related to them. Coming on to another method which is called the molecular clock, it is nothing but an aspect of saying that how old, or we say how long the diversification has taken place. For example, in the case of Archaea and Eukarya, we say that diversification took place about 2.8 billion years ago. However, Salmonella and E. coli, which are enteric bacteria, the diversification took around 120 to 140 million years ago. Another technique, or the last technique to study the diversification of the microbe, is multi-locus sequence typing. This takes into account all the housekeeping genes that are synthesizing essential components in a bacterial cell, and they are compared with the housekeeping genes of another organism. This is of great importance in the clinical microbiology and to know the virulent strains, because we find that influenza, which was occurring 2 months back, the medicines for that is not working today. Why? Because a new diverse form of that microorganism has evolved, and that could be detected by this method of multi-locus sequence typing. Now finally, what are the implications of this diversification of the microbes? The diversification of the microbes are very essential to study because it helps us in the diagnostic procedure to know the diverse form evolving in today's environment, which may be pathogenic or which may not be pathogenic. Secondly, if we come to diagnose the diverse form, we could design the different diagnostic procedures. And thirdly, we say that the genome scale approach for the vaccine development, we develop vaccine only when we come to know the genotype of the bacteria. If the genotype of the bacteria keeps on changing, we have to change our vaccines also, and therefore helps the vaccine development. And fourth one is, it helps us to identify the essential genes which are biotechnologically explored in the industry for the production of the essential components, the vitamins, the antibiotics, the enzymes, organic acids. Therefore, this diverse form of the bacteria holds an important place in the human race because the microbes are exploited by the humans itself.